emergency response. I wanted to bring up an opportunity that Rick Ellinger, who is the Secretary of WCA, he's helping to organize a conference next September in Monterey, and it's a statewide conference about emergency response and disaster recovery. And they're going to showcase 4 mobile application companies. And you get to present your solutions to all the people across the state working on this. So if anyone is interested in hearing about this opportunity, please talk to Rick after the presentations. So our next presenter is Tom Owens from DeCarta, which provides the maps that we all use to find the closest bar. And Tom's going to tell you about some of the solutions and how they give you these great maps. Oh, and Mark from Nokia wanted me to point out that he's a snappy dresser.
You go, Tom.
I'm not sure that I want that coming from Mark. I think we all have somewhat of an advanced degree, thanks to John and the previous presenters, in the history of wireless and advanced location determination. I learned that I'm a watch-wearing, mature homebody. So that's where I am. Thank you for this. So it's been great to understand sort of where the location elements come from, and I think that's exceptionally vital in these applications because they just don't come out of thin air. Well, actually they do, but how do they get put to use? So what DeCarta does, and what I want to talk about, is how we take these location elements, these location fixes, be them from the satellite clusters or the Skyhook technology or where else in the device, and how do application developers, okay, it's about me, use DeCarta technology to put that to use. So, and thank you for inviting me to come and speak tonight. And I started to think about, okay, platforms. What are the major platforms? And there are a handful of them. So I selected a few of the top ones to talk about why some platforms work and why we may or may not be better. And then one of the biggest names we hear about in wireless and what we hear about in location right now is certainly Google. Everyone's heard of Google? Anybody not?
Never heard of it.
See me after class. So Google launched Google Maps. That was great, and they launched some APIs with that. And they are, I'm not a developer, obviously, because I am, as Mark said, a snappy dresser. But they're really very, very good. So a Google map is a Google map is a Google map until they change their data provider, then they're a Google map. They move further up the stack and launch an OS, so getting down to the operating system on devices, and they've launched Android. And within Android, you have very similar access to the very similar Google Maps, and that's great. So Android's out, there's a tremendous buzz factor around it. I'm on the Droid or I'm on an Android device, and that's all well and good. But Google has the ability to capture a lot of data. Just as we've heard from some of the presenters earlier, you want to know who's doing what with that data after the fact, and the privacy questions will apply to the next Google presenter who's up here doing that. Ovi is a tremendous platform by Nokia. So they've got a tremendous amount of support. You know, Mark and his group. There are how many apps in Ovi now?
We're nearing 1 million downloads today.
1 million downloads today. So there's a tremendous amount of apps and the app infrastructure and things brought by Nokia and their partners and owning with the map company. So there's a great ecosystem, truly. However, with all deference to our host, thanks for having us, that's launched on Nokia devices, which is a good thing generally, but there aren't as many Nokia devices in the States in this market that we're in right now as others. iPhone. Anyone not heard of iPhone? Yeah. iPhone is a tremendous platform, really. It's a watershed event in the wireless, to the wireless historians, from flip phones and feature phones to the iPhone. It really was a game changer. And it too is limited, right? So you're talking about the deployment of over 50 million devices worldwide between connected iPhone devices as well as the iPod Touch devices. So while you say that's not a bad thing, and it's certainly not, you're leaving other things on the table. If you develop for the iPhone, you're not developing for Ovi, and you may not be developing for Android or using a Google Map application. So what DeCarta does, because it's about me, is we are a robust or scalable platform that will provide APIs that will access all of those different OSs. So we have APIs for Android, for iPhone. We do a lot of work with the folks at Forum Nokia on the Java, the J2ME, and even on the Symbian side alone. So DeCarta, we're not new to this space. We're a 13-year-old company. We've been around, so we're solid. We've got a vast reputation for advanced geospatial sciences. Okay. And more to do with the innovation around that. We have over 19 patents granted today. I'll update my slide. And we've got more in the works. So we're here to stay. We've been doing quite a bit. We enjoy a position of saying that 90%, like 90% share, as the slide says, of the U.S. mobile LBS market. Now, before you raise your hands after, I'll tell you now, 90% of data revenue from location-enabled applications are powered by my technology. We're quite proud of that, and I think that it speaks well for what we're doing in the space and how we've continued to innovate. So who are these people that's doing all this, and why? Fair amount of household names. Verizon and the VZ Navigator application, which is built by some folks in this room, Networks in Motion, is built using our technology. T-Mobile using our platform in Europe. Best Buy got in the space of launching a connected navigation device, a P&D with a modem in it. And this was their idea, and we're happy to do it. We've built, manage, and support the service infrastructure underneath that service, as well as the client-side application on top of that. Sorry that the gentleman in the back wasn't in a Ford or a GM vehicle with OnStar, because they do have GPS and they do know how to take the coordinates. We're in the OnStar application. We're in the Ford Sync program. Not just to bash them, but Google, when they launched Slippery Maps, however many years ago that was built on DeCarta technology. So we've been in this space both on the internet side, we've been in the mobile side, and in the enterprise side for quite some time. Why are they choosing us? And as I alluded to earlier, it's a history of firsts in this space. And we don't necessarily have an application per se. We are providing technology to some in this room who are application developers to put very clever, very functional, very useful applications in the market. Useful equates to revenue. Cute equates to sort of high downloads in the App Store. POI-centric maps, right? First, wireless turn-by-turn, off-board navigation with maps, hybrid maps, so having some mapping technology on the device and some in the server side, so that if you're out of coverage and things, your device is still useful. It goes on from there. The ability to sort of, the Google ability to slide the map around the screen, that's all technology that we've come up with and brought to market. So let's talk about where DeCarta fits in the value proposition. We are this, I'm not sure what color it is for all of you, it's sort of that maroon purplish box on the left. On the left side of the screen is content. Content is king. We talk a lot about applications and turn-by-turn navigation applications and applications that do this and applications that do that, and there's an app for that, whatever that is. But really what I think we as consumers are after is a solution. The app that puts the Happy Meal in my child's mouth that makes her quiet in the back seat is an app I'm willing to pay for. Right? Just showing me where McDonald's is a good thing, but it's not the solution. So really it's about solutions. Solutions come from combining high-value information, high-value content, which is the left side of the screen, with me, or you, us, the user, on the right side of our screen. So we're obviously very well positioned in the center of that with our partners who are the application developers, Networks in Motion, and VZ Navigator, Peter Lute, who's also in the room, Ford Sync Project, Pelago Gearworks on the enterprise side. These folks have application logic. There is something that they're trying to solve, a niche in the market that they're going after. And they know how to do this. They know how to write the UI and how to create the user experience, which if you don't think user experience is absolutely critical in application development, you're wrong. I mean, if you can't get easy access to the information that's relevant, it's game over. John Kovilich talked about trust in the application as well in terms of it's providing me value. So what DeCarta does is we support the geospatial mapping, routing, the rocket science underneath the application that has the proper user experience and the UI and the rest of that. So we sit along the value chain, as you can see, between the application developer lining it up with the content, be it static content of mapping data, which is obviously relevant, kind of like the game board. It's imagine a game of checkers. You only know where you are in relation to your opponent based on the number of boxes and their color. Right? You don't care if you want coffee, just to continue with the pizza analogy, you don't really care if you get there on a street named Maple or a street named Elm, as long as you end up with coffee. Right? So what we do is we put the dot of coffee in the appropriate place in the map in conjunction to calibrated by the map with where you are so that you know how to get to coffee. Pretty simple, huh? Distribution channel is primarily the operators, Best Buy for their products, and whatever the distribution arm is, but you can sort of see how the flow works.